Good morning, dear students. Welcome you all. We will continue the chapter. The chapter name is 18th Century Political Formation, and in this class we will discuss the remaining subtopic from the chapter. Before starting the chapter, we will recapitulate the subtopic which we discussed in the previous class. The subtopic is Awadh. Dear student, you know that Awadh Burhan ul Mulk Sadat Khan was appointed Subedar of Awadh in 1722 and founded a state which was one of the most important to emerge out of the breakup of the Mughal Empire. Awadh was a prosperous region and controlling the rich alluvial Ganga plain and the main trade route between North India and Bengal. Burhan ul Mulk also held the combined offices of Subedari, Diwani and Fauzedari. In other words, we can say he was responsible for managing the political, financial and military affairs of the province of Awadh. Now we will continue the subtopic which are in the chapter. Understand? So let's enjoy the chapter and come on the chapter. Dear students, now we will start the chapter with the first subtopic, and the first subtopic is Bengal. Bengal gradually broke away from Mughal control under Murshid Quli Khan, who was appointed as the Nab deputy of the governor of the province. Although never a formal Subedar, Murshid Quli Khan very quickly seized all the power that went with the office. Like the ruler of Hyderabad and Awadh, he also commanded the revenue administration of the state in an effort to reduce Mughal influence in Bengal. He transferred all Mughal Jagirdars to Odisha and ordered a major reassessment of the revenues of Bengal. Revenue was collected in cash with great strictness from all zamindars. As a result, many zamindars had to borrow money from bankers and money lenders. Those unable to pay were forced to sell their lands to larger zamindars. Understand? So, the close connection between zamindars and money lenders, Hyderabad and Awadh as well was evident in Bengal under the rule of Alivardi Khan 1740 to 1756. During his reign, banking house of Jagat Seth became extremely prosperous. Understand? So afterward, we will come to the next subtopic, and the next subtopic is the Watan Jagirs of the Rajputs. Dear student, the second subtopic is the Watan Jagirs of the Rajputs. Many Rajput kings, particularly those belonging to Amber and Jodhpur, had served under the Mughals with distinction. In exchange, they were permitted to enjoy considerable autonomy in their Watan Jagirs, in their lands in the 18th century. And these rulers now attempted to extend their control over adjacent regions. Ajit Singh, the ruler of Jodhpur, was also involved in the factional politics at the Mughal court. Now we will come on the next subtopic. The next subtopic is seizing independence, the Sikhs. Dear student, you know that several battles were fought by Guru Gobind Singh against the Rajput and Mughal rulers, both before and after institution of the Khalsa in 1699. Understand, he founded Khalsa in 1699, the institution. After his death in 1708, the Khalsa rose to revolt against the Mughal authority under Banda Bahadur leadership, declared their sovereign rule by the striking coins in the name of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh, and established their own administration between the Satluj and the Jamuna. Banda Bahadur was captured in 1705 and executed in 1716. Understand? Under the number of able leaders in the 18th century, the Sikhs organized themselves into a number of bands, and their bands are called Jathas and later on Misls, and their combined forces were known as Grand Army Dal Khalsa. Understand? Firstly, they were united, organized themselves in a number of bands called Jathas and afterward Misls, and these combined forces were known as the Grand Army Dal Khalsa. And the entire body of Dal Khalsa used to meet at Amritsar at the time of Baisakhi festival and Diwali to take collective decision known as the resolutions of the Guru Matas. A system called Rakhi was introduced offering protection to cultivators on the payment of tax of 20% of the produce. Understand? The system that was called Rakhi was introduced offering protection to cultivators, the farmers, on the payment of a tax of 20% of the produce. Guru Gobind Singh had inspired the Khalsa with the belief that their destiny was to rule Raj Karega Khalsa. Their well knit organization enabled them to put up a successful resistance to the Mughal governors first, and then to Ahmad Shah Abdali, who had seized the rich province of the Punjab and the Sarkar of Sirhind from the Mughals. The Khalsa declared their sovereign rule by striking their own coin again in 1765, and significantly this coin bore the same inscription as the one on the orders issued by the Khalsa in the time of Banda Bahadur. The Sikh territories in the late 18th century extended from the Indus to Jamuna, but they were divided under different rulers. One of them, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who reunited these groups and established his capital at Lahore in 1799. Dear students, the next subtopic is the Marathas. The Maratha kingdom was another powerful regional kingdom to arise out of a sustained opposition to Mughal rule. Shivaji, the prominent ruler from the Marathas, Shivaji 1627 to 1680 carved out a stable kingdom with the support of a powerful warrior family, Dasmukh, group of highly mobile peasant pastoralists. Kunbis, they provided the backbone of the Marathas army. Shivaji used these forces to challenge the Mughals in the peninsula. After Shivaji death, effective power in the Maratha state was wielded by a family of Chitpavan Brahmanas who served Shivaji's successors as Peshwas for principal ministers. Pune became the capital of the Maratha kingdom. And under the Peshwas, the Marathas developed a very successful military organization, and their success lay in bypassing the fortified areas of the Mughals. By raiding cities and by engaging Mughal armies in areas where their supply line and reinforcements could be easily disturbed. Between 1720 and 1761, the Maratha Empire expanded. It gradually chipped away at the authority of the Mughal Empire. Malwa and Gujarat were seized from Mughals by the 1720. By the 1730s, the Maratha king was reorganized as the overlord. Overlord means they got the more respect to God. Overlord means Lord of Lord. As the overlord of the entire Deccan Peninsula, the Maratha king was reorganized in 1730, and as the overlord of the entire Deccan Peninsula, he possessed the right to levy Chauth and Sardeshmukhi in the entire region. We will understand here the meaning of Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. Chauth means 25% of the land revenue claimed by Jamindars in the Deccan. This was collected by Marathas. Means that Marathas was levying. They levied taxes to the Jamindars, 25% of the land revenue. Sardeshmukhi, 9 to 10% of the land revenue paid to the head revenue collector in the Deccan. So Sardeshmukhi, 9 to 10% of the land revenue paid to the head revenue collector in the Deccan. So dear student, you know that these were not formally included in the Maratha Empire, but were made to pay tribute as a way of accepting Maratha sovereignty. Expansion brought enormous resources, but it came at a price. Understand? So alongside, we can say that alongside endless military campaigns, the Marathas developed an effective administrative system as well. Understand? And afterward, you know that this allowed Maratha chiefs, Sardars like Sindhia of Gwalior, Gaikwad of Baroda and Bhonsle of Nagpur the resources to raise powerful armies. Understand? Afterward, you know that new trade routes emerged, came out within the areas controlled by the Marathas. The silk produced in Chanderi region, MP, now found a new outlet in Pune. The Maratha capital, Burhanpur, which had earlier participated in the trade between Agra and Surat, now expanded its hinterland, adjacent areas to include Pune and Nagpur in the south and Lucknow and Allahabad in the east. And now we will come on the last subtopic from the chapter, the Jats. Dear student, you know that under the like the other states, the Jats consolidated their power during the late 17th and 18th century. Under their leader Churaman, they acquired control over territories situated to the west of the city of Delhi, and by the 1680s they had begun dominating the region between the two imperial cities of Delhi and Agra. For a while they became a virtual custodians of the city of Agra. Dear students, you know that the Jats were prosperous agriculturalists, and towns like Panipat and Ballabgarh became important trading centers. Centers in the areas dominated by them. Under Surajmal, the kingdom of Bharatpur emerged as a strong state. When Nadir Shah sacked Delhi in 1739, many of the city's notables took refuge there. His son Jawahar Shah had 30,000 troops of his own and hired another 20,000 Maratha and 15,000 Sikhs troops to fight the Mughals. Understand? While the Bharatpur fort was built in a fairly traditional style, understand? At Dig, the Jats built an elaborate garden placing combining style seen as at Amber and Agra. So dear student, the chapter had been completed here, and afterward the chapter has been completed, and afterward we will discuss question answer, and afterward we will do the question answer, and you will get your question answer in the PDF. Understand? And the question answer that will be completed by you in your history copy, you will send the work to your respective subject teachers on their WhatsApp number. So thanks for watching the video.